Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to plan a trip to Japan by yourself. So the reason I wanted to make this video is because I'm going back to Japan in March, and I feel like a lot of the people I talk to about traveling to Japan are always like, oh, it would be super cool to go, but I would not even know how to plan a trip there. And I think people, especially from America, get like really intimidated by culture differences, language differences, and just think like, oh, it'd be really hard to navigate and like travel there. And so they don't even try. But the thing is, out of all the places that I've been to, even including places in America, I think Japan is probably the easiest country to get around. It's super convenient and it's so much fun. Like, I would hate for people to miss out on it just because they think it would be too hard to travel there. So I wanted to make a video because there is like a lot of information out there about Japan. You could know everything about it before you go, but not everybody enjoys like sifting through all of the information, spending hours researching. I like that, but basically what I wanted to do is just kind of boil it down to some basic things. These are the things you need to do before you go, and then you can run with it from there. I should mention that I am going to be talking about some ways to save money in this video just because I'm always traveling on a budget, so that's like a really big part of my trip planning process. But I also know that that's another reason why people don't go to Japan, because they think it's way too expensive. So hopefully I can help you out there as well. I'm going to be talking about booking plane tickets, accommodations, the infamous JR pass, which is probably the most important thing in this video, so at least watch that section. Pocket Wi-Fi, itineraries, and then just a couple of other things that I think will help make your trip planning process easier. Hopefully by the end of the video, you'll feel encouraged and ready to plan your own trip, because you totally can. All right, let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna do in your trip planning process, of course, after making sure your passport is up to date, is book plane tickets. And this is where people get stuck, like right off the bat, because plane tickets to Japan can be really expensive. And I know for me, it was a huge thing for a while of I'm like, I can't even afford the plane tickets there. Like, how am I going to be able to afford the rest of the trip, you know? So I wanted to give you a couple of tips in how you can save money on plane tickets. I found that the best way is just to book super far in advance before the airlines have a chance to start raising the prices of the ticket. So I found that about 6 months out is really good. And if I wait much later than that, then prices kind of start to jump up sporadically. So just the sooner you can book, the cheaper your ticket is going to be. And if that makes you nervous at all, I would recommend getting travel insurance. It's usually really cheap, and I've never had to use mine, but it does just like help me sleep better at night. So up to you. Another way to save money on your plane tickets is to travel outside of tourist season. So tourist season in Japan does vary a little bit based on which region you're going to, but kind of generally speaking, the best times to go to Japan are in the fall and in the spring. Winter does get really cold with a lot of snow, especially up north. Summer is pretty toasty, and like June, July is also Japan's rainy season. So when I say try to beat tourist season, I really mean only by like a couple of weeks if you can. So like last year I went to Japan in April during cherry blossom season. It was really expensive. And this year I'm going in March, just a couple of weeks ahead of that, and our tickets were way cheaper. So I would do just a tiny bit of research kind of based on where in Japan you're specifically going, when is tourist season here, and then try beating it by like a couple of weeks if you can. Hopefully that will help you save money on your plane tickets. So here's what I would recommend. Go into Google Flights, plug in some tentative dates, and then just click around. Try changing them by a day or two, maybe try a different week, maybe try a different airport. There are several international airports in Japan. Probably the cheapest airports to fly into will be in Tokyo. If you can, I recommend trying to get into Haneda Airport. Narita Airport is also in Tokyo, but it's like an hour and a half outside of the city. Anyway, I know for me, like here in America, I travel 2 hours to get to the airport I fly out of because it's way cheaper than the one that's like 30 minutes from me. So yeah, just don't rule it out. Don't give up just because you see like a couple of expensive tickets. There are good deals in there. You just have to go hunting for them. So after you book your plane tickets, the next thing you need to do is come up with a rough itinerary. You don't have to go crazy with this unless you just want to. But basically, all you need to do is figure out which days you're gonna be in which cities if you're planning on moving around the country. You're going to need to do this to book accommodations and also to figure out whether or not you need a JR pass, which I'm coming back to, but I just briefly want to talk about accommodations. So similar to booking plane tickets, kind of the sooner that you can book accommodations, the better. And this is just because like there's a lot of people going to Japan. Places will sell out, they will fill up, and location is pretty important when you're booking accommodations, like especially in like Tokyo, for example. It is such a huge city that you could be staying in Tokyo, but be like an hour away from everything that you want to do. So getting those like prime locations, it's good to just book in advance and secure your spot. That way you don't have to spend like hours on the train every day. I recommend doing like 3 to 4 months out. You can do even further than that if you want, but the last time I booked hostels, we waited until 3 months out, and a couple of the places we wanted to go were already sold out, so that sucked. As far as like saving money, I always stay in hostels. It's by far the cheapest option. I never spend more than $40 a night. I've spent like $20 a night even before. So I still stay in like small female only dorms too. So yeah, hostels are a great way to go. I know they have like a weird reputation, but I've genuinely never had a bad experience. I use a website called hostelworld.com that is amazing. It shows you photos of the place, like all the amenities they offer, how close it is to everything. It's a great resource, and you just have to pay a small deposit to reserve a room. There's even free cancellation policies, so I recommend using that if you never have before. If you want specific recommendations on hostels, feel free to leave me questions in the comments, and I will do my best to give you recommendations if I've been to those cities. But even if you're not wanting to stay in hostels, I still recommend booking in advance. That way you know where you're gonna stay and how much you're gonna spend, and you don't have to worry about trying to figure that out last minute. Okay, so we finally arrived at the JR Pass. The one, the only. I don't know why JR Pass is like, it was the most confusing thing to me when I was trying to plan my first trip to Japan. I think it's just because it is so unique to Japan. But the reason that it's important is because it's something you have to do in advance. You can't get a JR Pass once you're actually in Japan. So I'm gonna do my best to explain what this is. The JR Pass stands for the Japan Rail Pass. So it's a train pass. Basically, it's a pass that is designed to save you money on the Shinkansen, or the bullet trains, in Japan. Bullet trains are long distance trains. A popular bullet train ride would be from like Tokyo to Kyoto. But while local train travel in Japan is fairly inexpensive, bullet train tickets can start to get up there. So that trip from Tokyo to Kyoto is about $100. So you can imagine how if you were taking the bullet train multiple times, that could start to add up really quickly. And before you know, you're spending $600 on bullet train tickets. So basically, that's what the JR Pass is designed to prevent. You can get a 7-day pass, a 14-day pass, or a 21-day pass. What that means is that, let's say you get the 7-day pass, that's $250. So your pass is activated on the first day that you use it, and then in the next 7 days, you can take as many bullet trains as you want. Where it gets a little confusing is that you may not be taking the bullet train enough for the pass to pay off. So what I'm going to do to make it a little bit easier is put a link in the description of this video to a JR Pass calculator tool. And this is where your itinerary comes back. You're going to put in the places that you think you'll be taking the bullet train to and from. And this tool is going to tell you whether or not buying a pass would save you money or you would actually end up losing money with the pass. So like this year, I'm getting another JR Pass because we're kind of planning on taking the train from like Tokyo all the way to Fukuoka and back with like several stops on the way. And after doing calculations, we found that we're gonna save like $500 with this pass. So you can see why it could be really, really great to get. But also, like, if you're not taking the train that much, then there's no reason for you to get it, and you wouldn't want to waste your money. So use that tool. I'm also going to put another link down in the description that will just give you some more information on the JR Pass, because it does kind of take a little bit for you to kind of wrap your head around it. Make sure to check out those links. If you do decide to get the JR Pass, basically what happens is they will send you a voucher in the mail, and you will have to bring that voucher with you to Japan. We ordered ours about a month out from the trip. You don't need to do it like crazy far in advance because it only takes like a few days to ship, but then you have to bring that voucher with you. Otherwise you can't get the pass. So that's why you have to do it ahead of time. I recommend exchanging your voucher at the airport. There's a JR office there. It is by far the easiest, rather than having to like try and hunt down a JR office and like the monstrosity that is Japanese train stations. Like, they're freaking huge. Just do it at the airport, so much easier. All you have to do is say, hey, this is the day when I want to start using it, and that's it. It's a physical pass that you'll actually bring with you to the train stations. You'll show it to a person, they'll usher you through, and so it's really easy to use. But again, you do have to do it in advance. Please leave me questions in the comments if you have any. I'll do my best to answer them, but hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, let's move on because I just talked forever about that. Okay. All right, so the next thing to talk about is pocket Wi-Fi. This is one of my freaking favorite things about Japan. I love pocket Wi-Fi. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a little device that acts as your Wi-Fi. You carry it with you everywhere, and it's so much cheaper than buying international data. Like, my data costs like $10 a day, where we got Wi-Fi for, I think, 12 days last time. It was $70 and we split it between 2 people. You can connect up to like 10 devices, so you could split it between even more people if you want it. You're definitely going to need it just because public Wi-Fi in Japan sucks, and you're likely going to be using your maps, translation tools. There's several different companies that you can purchase from. I've had good luck with Japan Wireless. Basically, you just have to order it from them like 2 weeks ahead of time, and it'll be at the airport then when you land. You just pick it up right there. One thing to know is that you will have to return the Wi-Fi before you actually go back to the airport. So they will give you a return envelope. You don't have to pay for postage or anything. And all you have to do is like slide that in a post office box. Like, those are at a lot of the convenience stores, which are literally on every corner of every street. Otherwise, you can literally drop it off at a post office. That's what we did. We found one on Google Maps and it was really easy. So if you do get any data, make sure you have data for the last day that you're there. That'll just help you navigate, like, from the time that you drop off the Wi-Fi to when you get back to the airport. So yeah, but pocket Wi-Fi is amazing. Definitely make sure that you get it. So that's all of the like big things, you guys. Like, it's really not that much. And hopefully you can see now, like, it's not as difficult as maybe you thought it would be. So I just wanted to kind of give you a couple of like bonus tips. Just I think will help make your trip a little bit easier. First one is that Japan is a cash-based society. You have probably heard this, but let me just reiterate. Credit cards are really not a thing there. People carry a lot of cash with them all the time, which for me is weird because I never carry cash, but you will need it. Don't worry, there are ATMs everywhere in Japan, so it's not like you need to get all of your cash at once, but just know that you will need cash. Like, I needed mine as soon as I left the airport to buy my train tickets. So yeah, it's just good to know and to make sure you have like a wallet that accommodates for that. So another pro tip, buy a Passmo or a Suica card. These are gonna save you so much time at the train stations. I got my Passmo card at the airport as soon as I got there. Basically what these cards are is they're like reloadable train cards, and you can use those as your train tickets, like in and out of stations. So all you have to do is scan it in and out. It'll show your balance on it. It's so much easier than trying to buy like individual train tickets. And then yeah, if you run out of money, you can just reload it. It's super easy. I highly recommend doing that like as soon as you can once you're in Japan. Outlets. Okay, outlets in Japan. they're two-pronged outlets, like the ones that we use in America, but the voltage is different. So if you are bringing a device into Japan from America, the words you are looking for are dual voltage. You're gonna be fine with phone chargers, camera chargers, laptops, like that sort of thing. Where you might run into trouble is if you have like hair dryers or straighteners, like sometimes those things are only single voltage. So if that is the case, you will need a converter. Otherwise, like, don't bring it with you because it can ruin your device. And yeah, if you have any three-pronged outlet things or more, if you're from a different country, you'll need adapters, which you can get on Amazon for super cheap and super easy. I wanted to give you guys like my pro tip. This is a thing that I have been doing that has changed the way that I travel forever. And it started the first time I went to Japan. So I was making a list of everything I wanted to do, and it was just getting so out of control long, and it was hard to remember, and trying to make an itinerary was just super overwhelming. So basically what we did is we created our own Google map, which right now you can only do from a computer. You can view it on your phone, but you can't edit it on your phone. So we created our own Google map, and then we put in like everything we wanted to do. You can organize it however you want. But basically it was just an amazing way to see where everything was at on the map. Helped us think like, oh, we should go to this area for the day. And it was just so much easier to kind of like keep track of everything, make sure we didn't miss anything when we were there. It's like my new way of doing itineraries. So defo recommend doing that. I'm not claiming to have discovered this. I know many people do it, but I think it was especially helpful for going to Japan just because like there's so much to do there. It's like sensory overload, and that just helped us keep track. So hopefully you can benefit from that as well. Okay, so last thing, you guys, thanks for hanging in there. The question of the hour is, do you have to speak Japanese to go to Japan? The answer is no, but should you? Probably. Like, I don't know, you're in somebody else's country expecting them to speak your language. That doesn't make like a whole lot of sense. There will be people there that will speak English. A lot of them do. And if they don't, they're gonna try with everything in them to communicate with you, because that's how Japanese people are, and they're amazing. But yeah, I would recommend just like learning a couple of words. I'll link a couple of videos in the description of this video because I don't really want to do a full-on language section right now. I've already been talking for a billion years. So just learn a couple of words if you can. If you want to learn more, that's awesome. Let me tell you, like firsthand, they super appreciate it. It's really special for them when a tourist kind of goes out of their way to try to communicate in Japanese, because I think unfortunately they just don't expect it at this point. So I would encourage you to at least learn how to say like thank you. Just basic manners would be great. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So wow. That was a long video. Way to go if you've made it to the end. You. I hope you guys feel a little bit more comfortable now. Start like maybe feeling excited about going to Japan. Please leave me questions in the comments. I love to just answer what I can and have conversations, and I just love Japan. So I really hope that you go. I hope you have an amazing time. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.